four cryptocurrencies that are likely to increase in price by 400 to 700% over the coming weeks and months, but one of them is likely to tank. We're going to use advanced technical analysis to really pinpoint the exact position so you can buy low and sell high. If you haven't met me before, my name is Jagir. I'm featured in the best-selling book High Probability Trading Strategies back in 2008, and I've been trading in the markets for over 18 years. I'm going to guide you through precise TA. So with that said, let's dive straight in. The first cryptocurrency we're going to look at is Polkadot. It's likely to do some nice upward movement over the coming months. However, we think we're going to go through a deeper correction first of all, because markets typically move in fives and threes, and we're going to use something called Elliott wave theory. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to draw on the pattern position of the market that can help guide us of what's likely occurring. So I'm just going to take a moment to do that now. So what we can see with Polkadot is we've got a nice 5-wave move to the upside. And after a 5-wave move, you typically get a 3-wave correction. But the big question is this correction complete? Now, we don't know from the pattern position because we can argue that this looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this possibly is some type of A, B, C correction, and then we're likely to get the move up. However, I don't think that's the case. It's the reason we use 4 independent technical factors, one of which we've done already, which is pattern, and now we're going to use price and time. So I'm going to draw on some price and time analysis that's going to help guide us of what's likely happened with Polkadot. And is now the right time to buy, or can we get a better price over the coming weeks and months? So let's draw on the price and time TA, and then we can see what's likely occurring. So what I've drawn onto the chart with Polkadot is a price retracement and time retracement. So in other words, we've had this move to the upside, and this is a typical retracement for a correction. And we can see that Polkadot is in that retracement range from a price perspective. However, we've also done a time retracement. In other words, we measured how long has this 5-wave move taken, and a typical correction should take 38.2%. In other words, it should be beyond the 9th of May in terms of the low. And we can see that the low was before the 9th of May. So what's likely occurring with Polkadot is that this is just the first leg of the correction, and we're probably going to be sideways to up, but it's probably going to be a second leg of the correction, and we're probably going to get another move to the downside. So this would be my thesis, and then I'll be looking for this point here to pinpoint where we can load up to look for the next move to the upside. The last part of the technical puzzle is the momentum, and I like to look at the higher time frame momentum, which in this case is the weekly chart, and then the current momentum, which is on the daily chart. So right now I've got this dashboard that I've created, and it says strong uptrend and oversold on the weekly. What that tells us is that we're at or near a weekly low, and we're probably going to be sideways to up, but it should only be a correction to this move to the downside. So don't be overly surprised with Polkadot if we only get a move to the downside, like so, some type of move to the upside, but only a correction, and then a final leg to the downside. And this is where we want to be on high alert to look for buying opportunities for the next leg up. So with Polkadot, let's just finish up with some price projections. If this does occur, what will be a typical price that we could anticipate with higher probability so you know when to exit if you manage to buy low and getting ready to sell high? To summarize Polkadot, we're more than likely going to be in a longer term correction, but once we can identify the low, we're probably going to see the price go to $18 to $26 over the coming months. So don't be too surprised if we get some type of A, B, C correction, and then what we call a wave 3. This counts as a wave 1. This counts as a wave 2, and then making a wave 3. The typical wave 3 is a 1.618, which is $18, which will be a nice, roughly around a 400% return. And then if we do get the overextended wave 3, $26, that's around 5, 6, maybe even 700% risk reward if we manage to really identify the low. So with that said, let's now move over to the second cryptocurrency that we're going to cover today. Optimism is the second cryptocurrency that we're looking at today, and we've got a nice pattern structure. So the first thing we're going to do is identify the pattern position, and we're just going to draw on the TA, and I'm also going to draw on a lower degree wave count, and we're going to do the Fibonacci price and time, and then we're going to really formulate a picture of what's likely occurring with the price action right now. Optimism is in a very similar position to Polkadot. What we can see over here is a pretty clean 5-wave structure, and we love it when we see 5-wave structures. But the big question is this likely to be the end of the correction down here? Well, the answer is no with what's happening right now. The minimum time taken has not been reached, and this looks like an impulsive structure to the downside. So even though we're more than likely going to see sideways to down, it's probably only going to be the first leg of the correction, and then we're going to anticipate a second leg up, which is probably only going to be a wave B, and then we should be prepared for a wave C. It's the most common type of correction after a 5-wave move to the upside, but we can identify this low and buy low and then get ready for the next leg up. Then we can really make some good profits. So let's just finish up with optimism with a price prediction forecasting into the future what's likely to occur if the correction unfolds just like this. What you always want to remember is that we're measuring crowd psychology, and the technicals give us a big clue of what's likely to occur. And typical wave 3, so this 5-wave move to the upside, we're calling a wave 1. This correction, which is probably still going to be ongoing, is what we're calling a wave 2, and we're likely going to see the price pull back to around $2, maybe even below $2. And then if this ends up being the end of the correction and we end up getting a wave 3, a typical wave 3 is 1.618 of a wave 1. In other words, we project this price action. So we're talking about $8. So $2 to $8 is a nice 400% increase. But if we get the overextension of wave 3, which is probably going to occur because it's cryptocurrency and it's the first leg of the major move to the upside, we're probably going to see around a $12 mark, which is around a 600% increase in price if we do get that pullback. So just to summarize, with optimism, we've got this nice 5-way move to the upside, anticipate a minimum of an ABC. And at this point over here, if it does unfold like this and we get a nice surge in price, expect a minimum of $8 to $12, and that would be a profit-taking zone, because typically what occurs then is another correction that will be similar to this before the next leg up, because these psychology cycles occur in macro degrees, intermediate degrees, and micro degrees. In other words, psychology within the psychology. So with that said, let's now move over to the third cryptocurrency. The third cryptocurrency is TAO. First, we're going to put in the pattern position, but we're also going to look at the price and the time using Fibonacci ratios so we can get a real good feel of the psychology of what's likely to occur next. Have we hit our minimum requirements? Are we at the end of a correction, or is it going to likely be a bit more ongoing? Well, let's put on the first basic TA and then we'll review. Not too dissimilar from Polkadot and Optimism, we've got a nice 5-wave structure. Now what we've got over here, and it's a bit questionable, we've got this nice move up over here and this long drawn out correction. It's what we call a complex correction. A nice impulsive move, typical of a wave 3, a nice correction, and there's a guideline in Elliott wave. When wave 2 is sideways, wave 4 tends to be sharp, and that tends to be the case. It's looking like the case right now with this. Then we have this nice overextended wave 5. It's called FOMO. When wave 5 is bigger than wave 3, it's euphoria, and that can be quite typical. And then we've had this big correction pulling back, and the price from TAO has gone from like over $700 to below $400. So it's been over a 50% retracement. But the key thing here, if this is the beginning of wave 1 and the end of wave 5, a typical retracement time should be this point here. We can see we have not reached that point here. So that's what gives me a big clue that TAO's correction is unlikely to be over. Now, this one, it might end up being an ABC and then a follow through to the upside. But I like to really always go with this guideline because it's most typical common behavior. So right now, it looks like it might just be the first leg of the correction. We should anticipate sideways to up, but it might only be the second leg of the correction and then a third pullback for an ABC correction. In my ideal scenario, that if you spot, then you can have more confidence in taking action, is that we get a 3-legged correction in the ideal time and price zone with a momentum reversal. When all 4 independent technical factors align, that's when you have the greatest confidence and a strong edge, and that's when you can apply the edge and act without hesitation or reservation. So with TAO, let's just do some price projections. So the correction that we're looking at is between $200 and $300. We're not too far from that right now, but we're probably going to see the price surge back up to around $600 and then pull back down to $200 to $300 thereabouts. And then we're looking for the next surge up. So when is that, or where is that likely price target? Well, let's just do some forecasting so we get a bit of a feel for the market. But again, we want to wait for a pattern reversal signal before taking action. So I've drawn on 2 price targets, the typical wave 3 and an overextended wave 3. So with TAO, if we do end up getting this ABC correction back down to the $200 range, then we should anticipate the price surging up to eventually to at least $1,400, which would be around a 600-700% risk reward if we get a tight entry. And then if it overextends to 2,100 thereabouts, to a 700-800% risk reward thereabouts if we get down to around the $300 mark. So with TAO, even though we're likely to be sideways to up, it's likely to only be a correction to the correction. And what I'm referring to over there is a wave A. A wave B is what we refer to as a correction to the correction, and then a final leg down, and then a massive surge up. Now, if this wave 5 top gets exceeded, so if $781 gets exceeded before then we might need to change our mind and viewpoint of the market. But we want to wait for a key signal and then take action, and always be aware of both scenarios, the optimistic scenario and the pessimistic scenario, to protect yourself from the downside. All right, last but not least, let's go to the fourth cryptocurrency. The fourth cryptocurrency is Gala. Now, Gala's price action is not as clear as the others. What we like to see is a nice, clean 5-wave structure without violating the Elliott wave rules, which guide us to see what the buying and selling behavior is likely to be. And when I'm looking at Gala right now, this over here looks like a clear wave 1, a wave 2, a nice wave 3, but this is very deep for a pullback for a wave 4. And if it overlaps into this range, then all of a sudden this actually only looks like a correction, and we're more than likely going to take out this low. So let me just draw this onto the chart so you get a clearer feel for what Gala is likely to do. But what we're going to do with Gala is have expectations of, if this happens, then this is likely to happen. And if that happens, then this is likely to happen. So we want to be aware of what the market is telling us at all points. So let's just draw on the bottom, the basic pattern position, and take it forward from there. So the way I've labeled this chart is with alternate wave counts. So in other words, wave 1s and A's look the same. So this initial move to the upside could be a wave 1 or A. Wave 2s and B's also look the same and behave the same. So this move to the downside could be a 2 or B. And wave 3s and C's behave very similar. A typical wave 3 is a maximum wave C. So it could be either at this point. And what the big clue is going to be is, does Gala overlap into this wave structure where I've drawn this horizontal line? If it comes down into this wave structure, that's a big sign of weakness, and it violates one of the key Elliott wave rules. One of the rules is wave 4, like if this is a wave 3, wave 4 should not trade into the range, and especially the closing range of wave 1. And if it does, it means this is not a wave 3. It violates the wave count, and therefore this is likely to be some type of 5-wave structure to the downside. So if Gala is not as clear cut, over the coming weeks it will become clearer. Is this a deep ABC correction of a wave 4, and we're going to get this move to the upside? Or is this just a ABC correction to the upside, and we're actually going to get a sell-off, making a new low, and then down here might be a big buying opportunity for the trend to reverse? But we would ideally want to wait for some type of strong confirmation before the reversal occurs. So with Gala, we're not going to do the detailed Fibonacci price and time. What we want to see is, over the next few weeks especially, what I'm going to look for is this momentum. When it makes the next bullish reversal, do we go into this range over here? And if we go below 0.035, that's a really sign of weakness, and therefore we're probably going to get a bigger sell-off into Gala, which is further profit taking, which I believe is probably going to be the case. Just like looking at the sell-off, the steepness of this over here, it doesn't look like a typical wave 4, but we can wait for particular confirmation. Now on the flip side, what I want to just quickly draw onto the chart is the reverse case. The reverse case is, let me just draw this here. If we do not close below 0.035 and we close above 0.054, in other words, that the price goes above this point over here and does not go into this range, then we lean on it being a wave 3 and this indeed being a wave 4, and then we're probably going to see a surge to the upside. Which case is going to play out? Well, at this moment in time, there's no way of knowing. Only the market can tell us. and we can just look for the earliest pattern reversal signal that can give us a strong clue, and then we can make that the bias and go in that direction. If you like today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to finish with a quote of the day from my book. It's from chapter 5, and it's from Leonardo da Vinci. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Now, when it comes to trading, most people overcomplicate the trading system. I just like to have a simple confluence of events from pattern, price, time, and momentum. And ideally, at least three of them coincide. In the ideal world, all four coincide, and that gives us a strong edge, and then we act with that edge. So let me know in the comments below what you want me to look at next. We'll do some detailed TA so we can plan and prepare in advance and wait for exactly what we want to see occur, and then we can take action without hesitation or reservation with acceptable capital exposure and then ride the trend. Until then, I'll see you next time.